Well, hello there, I'm Emrys from CruiseHive.com. Are you ready for another busy cruise news update? We've got some good and bad news with protocols being dropped, itinerary changes, and some record breaking. In this week's cruise news roundup, we've got a mixture of updates that not all guests will be happy to hear, such as Carnival Cruise Line adjusting 21 sailings, which we will get into a little bit later on. Cruise Hive also has coverage on Royal Caribbean's record-breaking future megaship, more cruise lines removing requirements to make it even easier to take a cruise vacation, and Celebrity Cruises' newest ship arriving in North America. And just before we start, don't forget to add your comments down below on any of the featured news stories. Alright, without further delay, your cruise news update begins now. We already know that Icon of the Seas is set to break the record as the world's largest cruise ship, but the cruise line can add one more record to the ship before it even set sail, as phenomenal response and interest led to the biggest ever single day booking record in Royal Caribbean's 53-year history. Public bookings opened on Tuesday, October 25th, just 5 days after new details of the ship were revealed, including many of its unparalleled features. Members of the Crown and Anchor Society loyalty program actually had the opportunity to book the day before, on Monday, October 24th. It is the October 25th bookings that have surpassed the cruise line's records, however, and is sure to be the first of many records the new Icon class vessel will break. Royal Caribbean has not revealed all the details of the booking record, but it may be more than just sheer volume of reservations made. Types of cabin sold, the speed at which reservations filled up, the revenue projected from the bookings, and other details can all contribute to booking records. It should also be noted that this does not mean individual cruises are already sold out, though the cruise line's website does show very little availability remaining for the maiden voyage in January 2024, with both interior cabins and suites showing sold out on the booking engine. It is possible that some reservations that have been made will be cancelled in the 15 months before the ship debuts, as eager travelers change their plans. More likely, however, is the prospect that the ship will continue to generate spectacular interest and bookings will continue to surge. Well, that maiden voyage is a 7-night Eastern Caribbean round-trip sailing from Miami, visiting St. Kitts, St. Thomas, and the cruise line's private destination in the Bahamas, perfect day at Coco Cay. After that first cruise, the ship will offer alternating 7-night Eastern and Western Caribbean sailings, with the Western cruises visiting Honduras, Coco Cay, and 2 ports in Mexico. Well, what do you think of Icon of the Seas? Are you excited about this new mega ship? Do let us know in the comments below. It's a significant step to normality as Carnival Cruise Line has updated its Have Fun, Be Safe protocols. The cruise line no longer requires passengers to be fully vaccinated, and testing is not needed for almost all cruises for all guests. So vaccines, proof of vaccination, and testing for unvaccinated guests are no longer required on cruises of 15 nights or less. However, Carnival only now encourages all guests 5 years and older to take a pre-cruise test within 3 days of their cruise. Previously, vaccinated guests aged 5 and over had to provide proof of their status. Those guests who could not provide proof of vaccination had to present a negative PCR or antigen test result taken no earlier than 3 days before sailing. There are still requirements for longer sailings of 16 nights or more. Guests that are 18 years and over must still be fully vaccinated, including any booster shots. If unvaccinated guests want to sail on longer cruises, they must apply for a vaccine exemption for 2023. Guests aged 5 and older must also present a PCR or antigen test taken within 3 days before departure. We've got all the full details on Carnival Cruise Line dropping its protocols over on cruisehive.com. And cruising continues to inch back to normality, and many cruise lines have now removed many of their requirements, including those by Holland America line. The Carnival-owned cruise brand has removed the need for guests to take a pre-cruise test, regardless of their vaccination status. The update applies to most Holland America voyages and is effective immediately. It now makes cruises a lot easier for many guests. The cruise line is also removing checks on individual guest vaccination status unless a specific destination requires it. The changes affect Holland America's standard protocols, which apply to most cruise ship departures. There may be different requirements for charter sailings, Canada and Australia cruises. Guests can check which protocols apply to them by using the cruise line's health protocols tool. Guests can check specific protocols for their cruise booking. Also included in the simplified standard protocols are Panama Canal transits, up to 15 nights long. New ships such as New Statendam out of Fort Lauderdale in Florida and Koningsdam out of San Diego are also part of the more straightforward procedures. Even when the new Rotterdam begins sailing out of Fort Lauderdale this weekend, guests will enjoy fewer requirements. Celebrity Beyond finished her first transatlantic crossing on October 25th, a 12-night itinerary from Barcelona, Spain, that concluded the ship's inaugural summer in the Mediterranean and brings her to North America. The ship, helmed by the very popular Captain Kate McHugh, arrived at the port of Bayonne in New Jersey, the first time the new vessel has been in North America. Notable attendees included Nate Berkus, who welcomed media to the new Sunset Bar, a multi-level bar redefining the ship's aft with its internationally inspired beach club ambience, designed by Nate himself. Daniel Bullard was also in attendance, hosting a private dinner at his first restaurant at sea called LiQWYD. The ship departed New York to Fort Lauderdale on October 26 via a 9-night one-way sailing, visiting Bermuda, Curacao and Aruba. From Fort Lauderdale, the ship will begin the winter Caribbean season, offering 5 to 8 night sailings with itineraries that include ports of call in Mexico, the Bahamas, also St. Thomas, St. Martin, Grand Cayman, and other popular destinations. In late April 2023, the ship will return to the Mediterranean for another summer in Europe, offering round-trip sailings from Italy. We now end on a bit of a sour note, as Carnival Cruise Line guests scheduled to sail on board the cruise line's flagship Mardi Gras have been notified of a port of call change, with 21 different sailings impacted. For the affected voyages, Mardi Gras will no longer be visiting San Juan, Puerto Rico. Instead, the ship will visit Nassau in the Bahamas. Guests booked on the impacted sailings were notified of the change via email on October 25th, regardless of when their cruise was planned. A total of 21 Mardi Gras sailings are impacted by this change, including the nearest departure on December 31st, 2022. There are also 12 departures impacted in 2023 and 6 in 2024. Each of these sailings are 7-night Eastern Caribbean itineraries. These are not the only Eastern Caribbean cruises Mardi Gras is sailing, however, but other departure dates have not yet been affected. The remaining Eastern Caribbean sailings still include San Juan on the itinerary. Well, according to the local authorities, the changes have been made as a cost-saving exercise. Instead of sailing to San Juan, Carnival has opted for ports nearer to the ship's home port of Port Canaveral, such as Nassau in the Bahamas, of course. In February, Carnival Cruise Line made a similar move to swap Mardi Gras' San Juan calls with Nassau, and this latest change appears to be a continuation of that adjustment. Well, lots going on with that. Have you been impacted by the itinerary changes? And what do you think of Carnival's tactics? What are they thinking of? Alright, get your comment posted below. Do remember we've got all the coverage across the major cruise lines over on cruisehive.com, including the Norwegian Prima making her Galveston debut, Norwegian Voyages removing all protocols, Princess Cruises revealing new itinerary details on its new class vessel, Holland America's Rotterdam arrives in New York City, Carnival Cruise Line makes a major beverage change, Costa Cruises cancels Asia departures, P&O Cruises Avia cruise ship delays her maiden voyage, and so much more all over on the website. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you did find it informative at all, then please do like it by hitting the thumbs up button, and of course, subscribe to the Cruise Hive YouTube channel. I'm Memris from cruisehive.com. Thanks again everyone, and I'll see you soon.